It's Alive 107.3. Lee here, getting set for the return of TNA Lockdown. The all steel cage PLE is back, and it's where titles will be decided, scores settled, and rivalries ended. You can grab your tickets right now, TNAWrestling.com, and here in the UK, you can watch it live on TNA Plus, where you can also see this week's episode of Thursday Night Impact, where the Knockouts TV title tournament continues. AJ Francis taking on the face of the franchise, Moose, and much, much more. To get to that, as well as Lockdown and everything else that's going on in the world of TNA Wrestling, I'm delighted to be joined by the world's greatest announce team. And listeners, you know this. These guys are my heroes. I'm fanboying right now over this because we have the Drama King, Matthew Rehwoldt, and the voice of TNA Wrestling, Mr. Smooth, Tom Hannifan. Guys, how are yous?
Fantastic.
Pretty good.
Fantastic.
Tom, have you ever been called Mr. Smooth before?
Lee's the only one who calls me that, and I'm the last question in the name game. And there's a lot of people in our company who said some ridiculous stuff about me. So I don't know how I warranted this much praise or anything like that. But
I might have to drop that in one of these upcoming weeks.
I've not paid him anything. It's amazing.
It's just one of these things for guys. You are, and Tom, you are completely unflappable. All the times I've been watching, you're on screen. You never miss a beat. You never drop out. Everything is there, composed. You're like a swan when you're on air. Certainly that hydration desk. You know what I mean? Everything seems so well done. You might be panicking about off screen. I don't know.
It's smoke and mirrors. Oh yeah, it's all bullshit. Yeah.
Oh, guys, I look, I've got a whole list of questions, lot of things here I want to ask you about, but I have a funny feeling the conversation will probably ebb and flow over the next wee while. But let's start at the top. What was once old is new again. TNA Lockdown returns for the first time in a decade, the first time in 12 years as a PLE, Sunday, August 23rd, Credit Union One Arena in Chicago. Now, this will be the first time I think either of you will have covered this event. How excited are you for the return of what is one of the most iconic TNA PLEs? And what should people expect to this if they are coming to it for the very first time, like you guys?
Matt, it's happening in your hometown of Chicago. You go first.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for this. Obviously, I say this all the time. This is the most requested event that fans have wanted to come back. It was one of the most influential events TNA has ever put out. I mean, it literally caused a trend of PLEs in wrestling overall when it debuted. So to have it back is really, really cool. To do it in Chicago is even cooler. To do it in a building that I actually graduated college in is kind of a weird full circle moment for me. Yeah, the credit when you formerly the UIC Pavilion, which has seen a lot of wrestling history. We will add to that on August 23rd in Chicago. So yeah, you should join it. It's going to be a raucous crowd. But it's so cool. I mean, what I love about things like this, and this is the wrestling nerd in me. So if folks out there, if you're a wrestling nerd as well, is when you have like a themed event like this, every match is going to be in a cage. I'm curious to see, are different matches going to maybe have some different stipulations to change it up other than just, hey, we're fighting in a cage or climbing out of it. That always can happen. And then two, even just between matches that might be similar, how are different people, different types of athletes? How is an AJ Francis going to use a cage versus how is a Casey Navarro going to use a cage? You know what I mean? Versus a Mustafa Ali, stuff like that. All these different people can use this, let's call it what it is, this weapon around the ring that is just connected to the ring. How are they all going to use it in creative ways to be different, to be more devastating than the other? So like, I like watching the little machinations like that. So I'm super pumped.
Tom, when it comes to yourself getting set for something this logistically, does it make it more difficult to call matches like this? Because obviously you'll be watching you call the matches from the monitors. I believe that's always what I've heard when speaking to guys like yourself. You call what the viewer sees as opposed to what you directly see yourself. But obviously there's steel bars in the way. It makes for a more difficult actual event to physically shoot. Do you work with the production team to try and counteract some of that?
I don't think it's anything necessarily the commentary team will do in terms of, shooting it or putting it together. Our production team does an awesome job, so I'm really excited to see how they cover this, and it will be a new challenge, obviously, because this team hasn't experienced it. It's been over 10 years, to your point. I think for us on a commentary, standpoint, it's paying respect to the past, but not trying to draw side by side comparisons. Because like I loved like the first lockdown, Styles and Abyss. Name a Kurt Angle lockdown. There's a bunch of really good ones, but like Kurt versus Joe, a marquee moment in TNA wrestling history, and something that added a new wrinkle, I think, within wrestling as a whole, kind of giving that MMA style, and Kurt was part of that at the time. So it's drawing on those moments, but not trying to hold our current roster to that same almost unreachable standard. It's like, hey, we have some wonderful moments in the history of lockdown, and you can watch them all back on TNA Plus if you want. But tonight, we're going to do something different. Tonight is the opportunity for our roster to prove what they're capable of. And at the end of the day, we are serving the stories we're telling right now. So that's the focal point for us. And then, oh, by the way, there happens to be a brutal steel cage involved in all this. So there's a lot of layers that we're going to have to bring forward on commentary. I'm just lucky I don't have to step inside the damn thing. So we're lucky.
Matt, as a former in-ring performer, I mean, does the fact that you go into a steel cage, especially something as imposing as the lockdown stage, potentially even something like lethal lockdown, does that dwell upon your mind now that you know that that PLE is upcoming from a performer?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I've never, well, I'm not sure if I were am upset or not, but I've never actually done a proper cage match myself. Um, but I mean, something like that, yeah, of course, anytime that gets booked down your road, you're looking ahead to that cage. That's an intimidating thing, both literally and figuratively speaking. But especially when you add in the platform of the return, it's very highly anticipated return. It's going to be one of our big pay-per-view PLE events of the year. You know, it's a lot, and especially on a night where everybody is also just as your ego as a performer, like I want to I want to have the best cage match of the night, right? There's also that little part of it as a professional. So it's but it's a unique one. It's a dangerous one. Everything is a little you got to remember, you have to fight your instincts in a lot of guys are used to you to hit the ropes and you do a tope through the ropes. Well, I can't do that. You know what I mean? So you have to go to your wheelhouse and just literally from as a professional wrestler, like, all right, I have to totally change how I work. A lot of guys, they have a lot of springboards and things like that. It's just literally logistically, your whole map has to change in how you put this match together on top of whatever other stipulation may be, thrown onto that cage. So it's a lot of pressure, but I think to the right person, you got to look at it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to really do something special.
It's going to be absolutely incredible. As I say, TNA Lockdown returns to TNA Plus, and if you get a chance to see it live, do that. Grab your tickets right now, TNAWrestling.com. And Matt, you mentioned there is an iconic event in the TNA calendar. But what we have noticed is there's been a change in the TNA PLE calendar over the past year. What we've seen is we've gone from those monthly events to the return to the stand, the big three, the big four events. Obviously, Lockdown, we've got Slammiversary, we had Bound for Glory, and then we've got Genesis or Hard to Kill. That one seems to be alternating in and out, which is a big change from what we as wrestling fans have come to expect over the past 20 or so years with the advent of streaming platforms and everything else like that. Do you guys both think that this change back to the tent pole events is a good thing? And if so, why?
I I generally, when I first saw that calendar coming out, or calendar kind of emerging as it was, I was like, oh yeah, there's less of those. To your point, Lee, those monthly PLEs, those TNA Plus
Oh,
specials, as it were. Um, and at first, I had the same. My gut was like, oh, like that's weird. How are we gonna? But the more and more I sat with it, I'm like, I kind of like it. I like, one of our advantages of taping the way we do and everything like that is sometimes we can have more time to plan out a story over the course of a month, 2 months, and stuff like that for multiple wrestlers, multiple groups, and everything like that. So I do feel like it makes these events more must see. It makes them bigger. You know what I mean? It gives us more TV time just straight up proper TV time to tell these more long form stories, as opposed to, oh, we just finished this big event, but we've got this monthly PLE in 3 weeks. So now we got to rush to find another world title match or a tag title match or whatever, just to get something on that card. Now it's like, nope, we've got 8 weeks or whatever it happens to be to tell a story and build and get us to that next big event. So I like having the time to kind of marinate and build things and cook things in between these larger tentpole events.
And again, from Tom, as you mentioned, you're very much a storyteller. Again, do you enjoy having this extra dynamic, this extra ability to involve the viewers more? Who, now that you're on AMC, still only 6.5 months in, still introducing the whole TNA opportunity to a new audience.
Yeah, I mean, I got taught very early on in my career, you have to assume every single episode of TV that you do that there is a new member of the audience, and you're trying to get them to watch the rest of that show, and you're trying to get them to come back week over week. So, we repeat things, and sorry if you don't like that. So we bring forward things because we're trying to grow an audience. The business is trying to grow. To your point about the pay-per-views that we're doing, we're bringing back Lockdown. That sets up Bound for Glory. What we're about to do in Philadelphia, July 30th and 31st, is going to, ripple effect to those major events. And then we just announced Destination X is coming back for the first time, and also nearly a decade, November 15th in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So it's these events that have cachet within the wrestling industry. And TNA has been around for 24 years. We have pay-per-view brands that are older than some companies are. We have pay-per-view brands that wrestling fans know. To have Genesis in January, very appropriately named, Rebellion, Slammiversary, some people look at as one of our most important events of the year, as our most important event of the year. Bound for Glory is our Super Bowl, so we look forward to that so much. But to have these unique events like Lockdown and Destination X, for instance, where there's a theme that you're not going to see anywhere else and it's going to happen one night only, that's a draw. That makes a lot of sense. And I come back to, we ran into a similar situation in terms of what Rehwoldt was saying of we had Sacrifice at the back end of March, and then 2 weeks later we had Rebellion. That's a lot. That's a lot for a production team. That's a lot for a creative team. It's a lot for marketing and sales to try and put that all together. And then inevitably, yes, there are matches that go on that card where it's like, we just got to get something on there. And then we do something maybe a little bit bigger at a pay-per-view a la Rebellion. And it puts you in a difficult position. I think this frees up our team to sell further in advance, which is great. And it gives our production and creative team a real chance to give rich stories for these events that deserve it. So I like it.
You mentioned there just the length of time TNA has been in existence, 24 years this year, and you can go back and catch it with all those moments, as you say, TNA Plus. Have you ever stopped and looked at the incredible legacy and library that we have on there and watched and thought, I wish I could have called that moment in TNA history? What moment would that be for you, both Tom and Matt?
Oh man,
There's so many.
I've honestly never had that thought, and it's because I look at moments. For example, Kurt Angle arrives and he has his showdown with Samoa Joe and the headbutt, and then Joe rising up from behind. I would never want to replace what Mike Tenay and Don West did that night, ever, 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 ever in a million years. So while I would love the opportunity to have called moments like that, more than anything, I'm like, I just wish I was a fan in the building, or I just wish at that time I was seated on my couch. And for a lot of those moments, yeah, I did see them live, which is cool. But like, I have too much respect for anybody that puts on a headset to have the arrogance or the ego to be like, I wish that was me replacing them because it would have been different or better or something like that. I don't have that thought.
Matt, what about yourself? Any moments you wish you could have called or gone back and lived again?
Well, I can't say it now because if I do, then Tom's going to call me an egomaniac or whatever, because I'm replacing Don West or something.
Yeah. That's okay. It's just a legend, Hall of Famer.
I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll actually listen to the premise of your show, Lee.
Thank you, Matt.
No, but he is 100% right. I wouldn't. There's not enough any money you could pay me to replace the calls that those guys had. But like, I guess to put it in the terms of like, if I could have just been around or even just been sitting at the desk with them for moments, stuff like the funny thing is Tom kind of stole it actually, because like getting into this side of the business from being a wrestler, like initially, and there is still part of me, the three-way with Daniels, Joe, and AJ, some of those spots and everything like that. I think of things like even Jeff Hardy's swanton to Abyss off the set through the table and some of their wars, moments like that. Elix Skipper on the cage, you know what I mean? So, like, as a wrestler, I do think about those, and those are incredible. You know what I mean? A lot of the Don West, you got to be freaking kidding me moments. But honestly, as a commentator, the moment, the quiet or like just the arrival moments, people just showing up where you hit something and then you just live in that moment of two people facing off. Whether it's promo segments or literally just someone coming out on stage. Sometimes those moments are even more goosebumps and everything they are than the crazy and incredible matches and moments that happen in the ring. So I probably would have said something like Joe and Kurt would have probably jumped to the top of my mind, but just being around, being in the building, being at that table to feel those kind of moments, that would be very, very cool.
I'll
Very,
say
very
this
cool.
though. I'll say this. I wish I could be there to call match with Chet Lemon and Black Snow. That would have been great. That would have been awesome. To potentially replace them, I think some people would have liked that, but then also like we wouldn't have gotten Black Snow calling his own match as he kicks somebody's ass. So shout out Booker T. We love you, Booker.
Guys, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm doing this obviously from the home studio, and as I look out the corner of my right eye here, I actually have a picture of Mike and Dawn on my windowsill from the obviously the Hall of Fame induction ceremony a couple of years ago. How and Tom, I've asked you about this before, but I think it'd be interesting now with a couple more years under the belt, and you've both been together. How much time do you two guys spend together away from TV, away from the day job, if you would? Because obviously Mike and Dawn, they seem to have this just natural relationship that flowed so easily, like almost like they were living out of each other's pockets. They were best friends on and off screen. And again, you guys have again that natural chemistry, that natural relationship. Is it something where when you're not there, you're bouncing WhatsApps back and forward to each other, you're on the phone, this, that, and the next thing, or is it a case of something? Work's work. We do need some space now and again.
Well, Matt lives in Chicago. I live in Nashville. He's got, 17 cats and his wife and all those wonderful things that occupy his time. So we text back and forth about stuff that we'll see, oh, did you see this or what about this? Or we bring this forward. Obviously the week to week stuff and post-production as we're putting together shows, like there's regular communication. But I always like getting to TV and really sinking our teeth into the show and the formats and like, hey, what do we want to do here? That sort of thing. We ride to the venue together. We ride back together. We'll often go get a bite or grab a drink, something like that. So I just have a ton of respect for Matt, and I've gotten to work with him obviously since his early days where he was in a singing competition with Big Cass and seeing how he's grown and got to do things at WrestleManias, for instance. And I've said this on a number of platforms, but I have the utmost respect for somebody who has the ability to adapt and pivot. And I saw this with Corey Graves when his career in ring was taken away from him, and then he changed over to commentary. And Rehwoldt was in a different position than that, but still pivoting and taking on commentary. And I will say this to him blue in the face. He started doing commentary in WWE in, what was it, 2019, Matt? And then, unfortunately, the pandemic came around. We both got laid off. We both had to go figure things out and do different things. The amount of time that he's been doing commentary is not that long in the grand scheme of things. It's like, what, 4 or 5 out of 6 years, essentially 7 years. He's just scratching the surface, and he's so good. He's already one of the best color commentators in pro wrestling. So he has my undying respect. I love him as a brother. He is a friend of mine, and we care about each other very much. That being said, he has never invited me over his house, and that stings.
Sure.
I'm kidding.
Tom's okay. That's my answer. He's all right. I mean, could be worse. I tell myself that every no.
Who's the heel? Who's the heel?
Yeah, right. Yeah. No. So like the funny thing is like kind of as a shoot, as they say, guys. I'm a very like private. Nah, not even private, but I'm like I am an introvert type of guy. Usually when I'm home, I'm home. I don't talk to a whole lot. I don't even talk to my family a whole lot. So like, but like, no, like for real, like there's a lot of people in this business who I'm very good friends with, but like I see them if we're on a show together. Outside of that, there's very little communication. So the fact that we joke back and forth, we communicate back and forth and stuff. uh, is isn't like kind of an anomaly into and of itself for me. I don't have a lot of people that I do that continually with. I could probably count them on one hand in my 15 years in the business of people who I have that kind of relationship outside of the TV workday kind of
Mm.
thing. So like that very, very much exists. And since he was so nice to me, I'll volley a compliment back to him, because the one thing I very much appreciate about Tom is that there's so many people, especially I feel like, especially as weird as it sounds, in the commentary position, because like it's easy to come in, do your job, and then just leave it. Literally just do that. I will show up as late as possible. I just need to talk about the show and the matches, and then I'm gonna leave. There's so many people that you could leave it at that and do as little as possible and still be very good at your job.
Mm.
There are people, you are good at that one thing, but Tom is so good about taking on um other things to help the show, or trying to put input here, or like give advice to someone else, or like to kind of can't just leave well enough alone in a really good way of like, hey, like, I'm all he has to worry about is him at the end of the day. But he wants to help the whole broadcast team. He helps Mackenzie Mitchell. He helps Gia Miller. Like, hey, how should we phrase this? Hey, how should we present this to the audience? And I don't know if that just comes from your time kind of doing management stuff at WWE or whatever, but like he has such a natural ability to just like, hey, bring everybody together. If nobody's spearheading this, all right, I will. I'll get answers on this. I'll figure out how we're going to do this, because it's wrestling. It's a circus. Sometimes a lot of things fall through the cracks, and he's very, very good at making sure nothing falls through the cracks and taking care of all of us. He's our announce dad, and even though he's younger than me, and I keep hurting my soul by saying that. But but he is incredibly, incredibly good, and I think everybody feels, at least on the broadcast team, everybody feels safer, as weird as that sounds, with someone like him kind of leading the call on our show. So that's always very, very helpful.
It's helpful.
That
It's
was really
helpful.
nice, man. That was really nice.
Cut
It's
it,
like,
cut it, cut it.
it's a warm and fuzzy moment, isn't it? It's a warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
Guys, I can't believe we are almost out of time, but there's just two more things that I need to do. First off, Matt, I need to ask you, the last match is coming to the UK.
Yes.
We are getting very excited about this. I've joined the mailing list. I'm waiting to find out where, when, and how we can be part of this. What can fans expect from this rock and wrestling experience?
It's so cool. The music is awesome. It's unlike anything, that I think has been put out there. People are, oh, like it's a musical about wrestling. Like, no, yeah, but no. Like, oh, it's a wrestling show that has songs. Like, yeah, but no. It is a full, like, melding, weird, perfect marriage of the two. You're getting a full, like, long form story, kind of like a play or something like that. Act, beginning, middle, and end with characters, but it's all in wrestling. There is matches. The music is all rock band, a live rock band on stage. It's not just like an orchestra in a pit kind of thing, or played over a speaker. So it is as the rawness of like a wrestling show, that kind of energy of, because like everything, the ring is kind of the stage. There's some stuff around it, but the ring is kind of literally your stage. And then there's the band playing and everything. It is such a fun thing, and the music is legitimately good. It's not good for a wrestling show or anything like that. It's very good. And if you're a wrestling fan, if you're not, I highly recommend the opportunity to check it out. It's something very, very unique. I was honored to be a part of it a couple of years ago.
Get online right now. Join that mailing list. It's coming to London later this year. All right, guys, it's time. If you're up for this, you know what it is. The name game. I have in front of me the names of 5 TNA superstars. I'll ask you just if the first thing that jumps into your head when you hear this name. If we can, Tom, we're going to start with you. Then we'll go to back and forth. So name number 1 for yourself, Tom. Daria Ray.
Obnoxious.
Name number 2, Matt, what about yourself? Ace Steel.
Grit.
Name number 3, back to yourself, Tom. The face of the franchise, Moose.
Steadfast.
Oh, that's a good one, actually. That's a good one. Matt, Mara Shade.
Exciting.
Exciting. All right, final name here. Tom, I want to know what you think about your broadcast colleague, the drama king, Matthew Rehwoldt.
We'd done this before, and that I said he was bald the last
Yes.
time that we did this. So and admittedly, my brain went to, I'm like, say bald. I'm like, you already said bald. You can't say bald again. I will say, this is multiple words, but Swiss Army knife. The man can do just about everything in professional wrestling and beyond. So,
And Matthew, yourself about Tom, Mr. Smooth.
Dang, I was gonna say Mr. So I was gonna say smooth. No, leader. Yeah, I would say that.
I'm gonna retire after this interview. This is great. Yeah, it's
Locker
been a good
room leader.
career. I'm done.
Always a pleasure catching up with Matthew Rehwoldt and Tom Hannifan, the guys with the best seats in the house every single week. You can grab your seats for TNA Action 2. It's Bringing the Noise to Philadelphia for a double impact taping Thursday, July 30th, Friday, July 31st at the Liqueurs Center. Then they're off to Chicago Sunday, August 23rd for the return of TNA Lockdown at the Credit Union One Arena. Grab your tickets now, tnawrestling.com, and head on over to tnamerch.com and see if you can get your hands on one of the world's greatest announced team
Yes,
t-shirts.
please.
Show your love for the guys. Honestly, this has been the most enjoyable half hour I have ever done on one of these. I've been doing them for the best part of 15 years now through the Impact days and everything else. But this, when the opportunity came up, I had to jump on it because I said at the start of the piece, honestly, guys, you two Impact TNA Wrestling every week is amazing, but there's just something intangible that you guys bring to it. And as a fan, thank you so much for doing that. And as a fellow broadcaster, not in your league, I'm not going to pretend that, guys, but honestly,
We're all
it is an
broadcasters.
absolute
We're all the same.
Yeah.
pleasure to watch. Absolute pleasure to watch and listen to. So thank you so very much. We'll hopefully catch up again very soon.
Thank you, Lee. And a shout out to Eddie Edwards. I heard you call me a serial killer on the name game. You're an asshole, Eddie.
Oh, that's fantastic. Appreciate you, Lee.